to episode 23. Welcome, Tom. How's it going?
I'm all right, man. Apart from dodgy haircut, apart from that, all good.
Yeah, we won't get into that. We've just been talking about Tom's dodgy haircut before we jumped on. So look, guys, we're going to talk to you about. Did you know that 95% of people who are successful with weight loss regain the weight within 2 years? So obviously, let's kick off there. Like, I wasn't actually aware of that stat until I got into coaching like a few years ago. Like, that's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very high number, isn't it? And I suppose it might be a surprise to some people, and it might not. Quite a lot of people that I talk to that have tried to lose weight have put it back on. So I'm going to say some people might be surprised, but other people might be like, "Do you know what? That makes sense," because I know a lot of people have struggled.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard it was from, obviously our Tim. We all know Tim. Well, we do. Maybe not everyone watching or listening. I remember he said he did a talk somewhere, and he had 20 people roughly sitting down, and then he asked everyone to stand up who had lost weight, and then he said to like 19 out of 20 of them sit down. That one last person was standing up, and he's like, "That's basically, that's 95%. So out of 20 people in a room, only one person's going to be successful at keeping that weight off long term."
And I suppose it makes sense looking at the rate of kind of weight gain in the world. I suppose in our country, but in the world in general, whatever we can say, if you look back into even when we were kids compared to now, there's a lot more people struggling with their weight, and it's certainly not getting any easier, or it doesn't seem to be getting easier, and people don't seem to be sorting it out.
Yeah, well, we talked about that. Was it last week or the week before, about how society is making it much harder with just things being easier to access? And like, even I'll give an example. This is how crazy things are. Like, I was around my uncle's the other day. He's got a new house. He can basically turn on all his appliances from his phone.
That's crazy.
And sort out all the like windows and things like that. Just literally sit there. Whereas, you might not expend a lot of energy, filling the dishwasher up, or I don't know, doing all these things, but you're doing some energy, and especially back in the day where we had jobs where you did do a lot more like physical, even like around the house. If you give your house a good clean, and you do the washing and all these things, like, it burns energy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's like everything. I suppose a lot of progress is towards making our life easier in many different ways, and thinking about even things like typing emails now using AI. You don't actually have to type your emails out anymore.
The thing is, the dangerous thing about that is what it does, and people maybe not even be aware of this. It just makes us shortens our attention span. It shortens our like delayed gratification and stuff. And when it comes to weight loss, patience is our friend. Like, it really, like, we know that, right? It really is, because it doesn't happen overnight. You don't gain the weight overnight. It's never going to come off overnight. And I think people get like really frustrated that it's not happening quick enough. So then if you've got everything else in life that you can literally get at a touch of a button, and your weight loss doesn't happen at a touch of a button, then you're just going to get even more frustrated, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It does take time, doesn't it? And so even if, like, when we're working with our clients for, say, 3 months as a minimum, even then it's like a matter of saying, like, whatever we're doing during that period, how is it going to help us in 5 years, 10 years time?
Yeah, it has to be a long-term plan. And I think that's probably going on to, like, obviously we're going to get into it. We want to talk to you why we think, 95% of people gain the weight, but also we want to give you some things to think about and some strategies to work on going forward. So, so I think, that's part of it, though, not necessarily having a long-term plan, a long-term solution. How many people have we spoken to and they've gone, yeah, it was great whilst I was on the diet. Yeah, it was great when I was following the diet plan. Yeah. But it's not going to help you in 5 years' time, is it? Or 10 years' time. You're not going to want to be getting this diet plan out on your all-inclusive holiday or Christmas, or it's got to fit into your lifestyle. So I think that's one of the like big things. If we're going to talk about big things, not having a long-term plan and really thinking of the solution in the short term.
Yeah, because it has to be long term. It has to be, if you're doing something and you're thinking, I'm hoping it's going to be over soon, it's just not going to work, is it? If you're doing something which, even the phrasing, and I've said it loads of times before, when people go, I'm going to go on a diet, it's like, I'm going to go on something which is temporary. I'm going to change my life to do this thing for a short term. And like one of the things I've made is about kind of foundation. If you want long to be not in that 95%, is actually building the foundation on the basics of health. And one of the basic things of diet and weight loss is not doing anything too crazy, and actually thinking, how can I fit in, how can I work on this my weight, but also around the foods that I like and the foods that I enjoy. And if you've got a family like me, how can I fit it around my family? Because it's not going to be sustainable if I'm sat in a corner eating something totally different to what my family are eating.
So what do you think is going on then? Because we bang on about this all the time, right? We're on episode 23. Hopefully people know our sort of like gig now. You get really good coaches talking about how it has to be sustainable. You have to think long term. Just make 1 or 2 changes each week. Be that 1% better. Move your body. Eat whole foods. I reckon if we cut it down, like most people know what to do, right? So what is it? Are people not listening? Are they not knowing how to implement properly? Are they not? Yeah, like you say, like not thinking long term. Like what's going on?
Maybe it plays into one of the other things I've said, is about actually have that really deep understanding of why you want to do it, and why you want to be healthy, because there's no rational reason why you wouldn't want to be. I've never met anybody yet who is happy being unhealthy and who is wanting to change their weight specifically, and so I don't speak to people. I don't hear that, and it's I suppose
dude, just to interject, it doesn't happen.
No,
like, it doesn't. At the end of the day, we're in our bodies all the time. There's no one that would say, I want to be in a less healthy body.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the first thought, isn't it? Like, rationally, I don't want to. Rationally, why would I do this? Okay, and then it's a matter of thinking, right? Okay, irrationally, why am I in this situation? Why am I not doing all those things that you need to do? And then it kind of all comes down to that mental side and that deep why. If it's just I've been told that I need to be healthier and I feel like I should be healthier. That's such a wishy-washy, high-level idea, isn't it?
Because your doctor said you need to lose a bit of weight. It's never going to work, is it?
No, exactly. Or I don't know, my BMI says this, or somebody says that, and it's up here. Whereas if it's really deep-rooted, actually, that your health and your body and your fitness is so important around kind of that why in your life, then it would be odd for you to not look after it. So if it was really, really strong, because it's so important for me to look after my health, because I don't know, because I want to be here for my children for as long as possible. If it's really, really important, then all those activities that you know are not serving you, you wouldn't do. And it's not talking about doing it all the time, is it? It's not like being a saint, but it's a matter of just doing the basics 80% of the time.
So I think with what a lot of you said there is that I think if you've struggled from, say, we've had clients that have struggled from teenage years, started gaining weight 11, 12, 13, and they've brought it all the way up to like 40 and 50. So if you've struggled and been overweight for 30 odd years, there's a big self-image and identity built up in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I think what you were talking about there is like, you have this identity, like, and again, we see it like, oh no, I'm just the big guy. And even you have the nicknames, and it's like you hold on to that identity. And this would be maybe, again, people haven't thought about this, and I'm sure you can relate. It's like we kind of like our identities, is a reason, and it feels comfortable and safe, doesn't it? So if you've had that identity of always being the big guy, then your subconscious will actually want you to hold on to that. even if you're going, no, but I do want to be happy, I do want to make all these changes. Well, 30 years of being that same person to then try and completely change it is really, really difficult.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, imagine you, I don't know, imagine you were a police officer for 30 years and you had quite, I don't know, quite an important job with people like relying on you, sort of thing. You know, that's your identity. You've built it 30 years, and then you go and work on the supermarket checkout.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? You'd just be like, this feels so alien to me.
And comfortable, and like I said, comfortable and safe. That doesn't have to be a happy place either. Your self-image can be comfortable and safe in a place where you're unhappy. And it's the comfort zone. We even talk about it. When we think about, you know, when your best mate gets a girlfriend and suddenly you don't see them anymore, and then you see them and they're putting on a bit of weight, and because they're comfortable and they're in that comfort zone. And yeah, it's deep root in that self-image, and it kind of makes me think of a client of mine a while back where his dad had struggled with his weight when he was young. So he remembers this struggle of his father struggling and trying diets and eating different things and trying shakes. So he remembers watching that as a child, and then kind of, hey presto, as we get a bit older, it's the same thing. And I suppose maybe that leads into you thinking as to like going back and going, why do I struggle with this? Why do I struggle with something which actually on the rationally at the base level is quite it's simple in a way of the actual actions to look after your health is simple.
Yeah.
But we're not saying that actually doing it is simple, but the actual nuts and bolts of it, the eating healthily, again, we all know what's healthy, and we all know what's healthy, and we all know we need to move our bodies and look after them. So why can't I do these simple actions? And it's probably based on something. It's based on life experience, like you said, that kind of self-image that's been built up for 30 years.
Long time. And I think the other thing that's like you touched on there to recognize is that I think it's something like if your parents are overweight or obese, you've got like an 80% chance of being overweight and obese as children. I think that's the rough stats on that. So, you know, if you've been struggling for a long time, I guess in some ways you just get so used to that environment too. You get so used to that body, you know, that you don't necessarily know much different. And I think that can come into the 95% as well. So imagine you've struggled, let's just say 10 years. You've struggled with your weight for 10 years. You've tried everything under the sun. And then you actually lose a really good amount of weight. So say you're, I don't know, just for numbers, like 15 stone. You manage to do brilliant. You lose 3 stone and you get down to 12, which is probably a healthy BMI, roughly height-wise, right? But then if you don't change the identity, change who you are as a person, and that means not just doing it because you followed a diet plan, you know, all these things, like, and they reckon, by the way, your identity takes 1 to 2 years to catch up. So unless you hold that, 1 to 2 years to, and that's not just weight loss, that's with anything, you know, jobs and things like that, you know, it takes 1 to 2 years for identity to catch up with you. So if you've worked your way through careers, you might still, you know, that, like saying imposter syndrome, like it's a bit like that. You might feel like that inside your own body. Like, who am I to be this slim person? Like, I've never been slim. So your identity takes 1 to 2 years to catch up. So you need to hold that maintenance phase of hitting that 12 stone for a good 2 years, and then you'll probably be in the 5% who keeps it off, basically.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that about 99 out of 100 people don't necessarily think about that or even aware of that, because I certainly wasn't 4 years ago before I become a coach. I didn't even think about self-image and identity, how long it takes to catch up, how you've got how people will treat you differently as well. You know,
I remember that when I kind of stopped drinking all the time and I started to lose weight, and actually I lost weight quite quickly, and people like constantly would say, you're like, you're losing too much weight and you look unhealthy, and it was fairly constant. When I look, because I remember I took it all in. I remember looking, and because I look at pictures, And I wasn't. I wasn't. I didn't have the kind of jowly face, and I didn't have the beer belly, and that was all it was. And I think sometimes people saying that is also not a reflection on you either. Quite often,
100%.
and I hear this a lot from my clients, where they'll almost be, maybe dragged down's the wrong word, but they'll start doing well, and they'll start being healthier and losing weight, and it'll make other people feel a certain way, like why they're doing it, and that makes me think that I should probably do it. And again, it's not malicious. It's just kind of our human nature. Kind of, you make me feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to try and do things to make myself feel comfortable. And I see it in couples as well, where I was coaching a lady, and again, she really struggled for a long time, and her husband started buying takeaways like on a Friday and Saturday night, and sitting there in front of her, even though she said, "This is really hard for me."
I've had that exact thing happen too.
And again, it's not doing anything malicious, I don't think, but it's just like, it's not a reflection on you. It's like other people's maybe feelings.
The thing is, I think especially when it's like that situation, like maybe a couple is like one person's in a program, they're losing weight, they're doing really well. The other person's maybe not, and obviously not quite on board. I feel bad if I get a takeaway. So we're going to get a takeaway, or I'm going to get chocolate from the shop and I'm going to share it with you, because then it makes me feel less bad. We're sharing it. And it's all BS, you know. It's basically all BS. And I'll give you an example of that. I remember my client Dave a few years ago. He lost like 45 pounds in 12 weeks. He had an incredible weight loss. And I think he was in about week 7, a couple of stone down. And he was out for dinner one evening with his friend. And he's basically tracking his calories, which, by the way, is absolutely nothing wrong with that. He's tracking his calories, and his mate was like, "Why are you doing that for? That's not going to work." And he tried to like put him down, but the problem is that guy that was saying that was also really struggling with his weight, wasn't losing any weight. Dave sat there 2 stone down, really well, doing really well, and it was actually his secretary that stood up for him, was like, "No, he's doing really well. He's lost 2 stone. How can you say it doesn't work? Look at him."
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a reflection on that dude. You know, you're doing these things and you're moving forwards. I'm a bit stuck, so I'm gonna bring you down, because that's gonna make me feel a little bit better. So you've got all that to contend with as well.
Yeah, and it's a good point that someone said that doesn't work. That protocol doesn't work, and like all things work, because like all diets work if they're done. Or I don't do anything. I'm not talking about like stupid diets that are just horrible. But like,
what's the one that Beyonce was doing or something, where she's just like basically lemon water and different herbs and things for like 30 days? Like, well, yeah, of course you're going to lose weight.
Exactly.
You're drinking juice.
Exactly. But I mean, all diets work. All kind of, whether it's low fat, whether it's high carb, whatever it is, where all these healthy things work when done effectively. So when someone says to you, "This doesn't work," it's like saying, well, maybe it hadn't worked for them, or maybe they just hadn't done it with any assistance, and kind of sometimes calorie counting doesn't work for some people. I in my experience, learning about what's inside your food and what's energy is inside it, and what's your food, what you make of your food, in my experience, is a good thing, and never a negative thing to know what's in it. So that, I mean, that's I
certainly use it certainly raises your consciousness. Yeah. Gives you a little bit more control, an understanding of how many calories are in foods.
I think it gets a bad rap because it's maybe done without kind of coaching around it, or maybe done without the kind of assessing it, and like counting calories is not a simple thing either, and it can be a little bit complicated.
People just think it's like a little bit boring, a little bit like, well, I shouldn't have to count calories, or it's going to be too much hard work. It's another thing to do. But I know I always say this to all my clients, like, if you go to the gym, how long out of that day does that take you? Probably like an hour minimum to get there, shower, work out all you need to do. And you might have a great workout, burn some calories, which is great. Exercise is brilliant. It's so important. But exercise is not the thing that gets you to lose weight. We know it's the food. Hopefully everyone knows it's the food. Go to the gym to get stronger, have a good workout, feel good. Look at your food to lose weight. So then, okay, you track your calories, probably 5 minutes out of a whole day. That's the difference to me. That's the difference.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's a bit of a ball ache. I've got to track my calories, but it's again kind of rationally, why wouldn't you spend those 5 minutes? So again, it's a matter of saying like,
Yeah.
why actually do I not want to do this? And then I'm sitting there with that thought for 5 minutes. Why?
Probably plays into, again, the 95%. I've got a client, well, I say client, former client, Ruth, who finished up over 4 years ago now. She still tracks her calories because I see it, because we're connected on MyFitnessPal, and she still tracks. And I think the reason was, obviously she did really well. She lost like 19 pounds in 12 weeks. And this was a brilliant transformation as well, because she also went on to get pregnant, and they've got like must be like a 3-year-old now. And that was like awesome. But she just stuck to it because it's helping. I guess it's helped her keep in control. It's that, I guess, a little bit of accountability as well, and we're not saying anyone needs to track for 4 years. I'm just giving this as an example. Like, she could probably not do it now because she knows so much from 4 years of tracking. Imagine how much you know about calories and being able to get a good idea of what's in stuff. Like, she probably doesn't need to do it, but maybe she does it because she likes the element of control. And also, like I said, it probably only takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a habit. It's a
I've
habit
been doing it about 2 years now.
Right.
Yeah, I've been tracking about 2 years. Again, probably don't need to. Just really like to, and I have my certain. It's more about protein for me, which is important. So I track.
Yeah, I mean, these, like I said, we are the result of all the habits and the little things that we do like all the time, aren't we?
Yeah.
And if it's, like I say, it's one of those things that if it works and and you get used to it, then it's a healthy habit. I do this because I know what's going on, and
Yeah.
I did this with Michael and it worked. I did it with his support and it worked. And why would you stop?
Yeah, and again, the way I see it is like, we're all so busy, aren't we? None of us have got any time. And I think, well, how about if you just slow down a little bit, right? And took the time to track, took the time to maybe, because you're going to learn some ideas of what's in the food, and you're just going to slow down a little bit. And then maybe that means you eat your food a little bit slower. You're a bit more conscious. I think we're so busy, like, all the time. Life moves so fast, and it's like, if you track, you have to slow down. So you have to scan things. You have to maybe measure things out. And it just means you slow down a little bit, which, again, I think is never a bad thing.
Yeah. Yes. I guess it feeds back to what you said earlier about if you're trying to be healthy and lose weight and keep it off, then it's not about the sprint. It's about it's about the long game and going, how can what I'm doing now still work in 10 years?
We got a little bit of love. LinkedIn user. Thanks, guys. Great conversation. Lots of great nuggets of information. By the way, guys, if you could ever just put your name, because we don't see it till afterwards, it just comes up LinkedIn user. So if you do comment, if you put your name down, that'd be awesome, because maybe we can reach out to you afterwards or some of that. So yeah, well, we like to hopefully give lots of value and information. So I think we've we're definitely not covered why 95% of people put the weight back on in 2 years, but let's give some, I don't know, some things to take away. I think the self-image is huge.
Yeah,
Work
on
yourself.
Yeah, I think, and it's a matter of, like you said about I think it's a good idea to sit back for 5 minutes and think, what is my self-image in terms of health?
Yeah.
How do I see myself? Do I see myself as somebody who is a bit overweight, who doesn't like exercise, who doesn't really like vegetables, and doesn't really want to track the food? And if that's how you see yourself, then be honest and write it down and go, okay, that's how I see myself right now.
I reckon the best way to do that is think about, if someone followed you for a week, they're just over your shoulder, literally, or like on a GoPro, so they followed you for a week, would they think you're a healthy person, or would they look at you as someone that isn't taking the health seriously? Yeah. And I reckon if you go, yeah, do you know what, I'm not moving my body, I'm not in, yeah, it probably would be unhealthy. Okay, so do I want to change that? Probably yes. And then I'd go the other side of, like, who do I want to be? So you've got a vision to move towards.
And what habits, what does that person do? And what habits? And again,
and why?
And writing them down. And again, I've written down honesty and being really honest. So you don't have to share this with anybody, but just being honest with yourself and going, right, this is who I am now. And this is the person who I would like to be. And these are all the things that they do. And looking at them and going, and it might be a little bit scary looking at that person, that new person. It also might be a bit scary looking at you now. It might be kind of shit. I have to own this.
That sometimes people aren't ready to face it. Because I remember one of my clients, who's a guy called Lee, awesome guy. Like he wanted to reach out to me before he did, and he actually posted, because I got him to post something. It was like he wasn't ready to face that. So that's quite interesting. Maybe, facing it's hard, isn't it? Having that conversation with you. And then once you've faced it and you decide who you want to move towards, like if I'd be in my mind going, I want to be this healthy person, what do they do? What decisions do they make? How do they eat? How do they prioritize their health? Like, so at least you have something to work towards. Again, it's the individual. We know we've worked with hundreds. Like, it's never just the diet. It's never just the exercise. It's a person problem, isn't it?
It's always
to each individual up there.
It's always in here. I mean, it's when I speak to people and they say, "Well, I don't need any kind of mindset stuff," and you think, well, it's always in here because
everyone needs mindset stuff, literally.
Yeah, because
it controls everything.
Exactly, and it's like because I don't think I've met anybody that doesn't know that broccoli's better than Skittles. I've never met anybody yet who doesn't know that. So it's like going right and being honest and going right. I know what to do. I know that I should drink more water. I know I should eat more vegetables. I know I shouldn't eat shit. I know I should be moving my body more. Okay, right, and then just own it and go, I'm not, and this is who I am now. And if once you've got these written down, kind of you've got those little things to read, haven't you? You can read them and look at them, and even if you don't action them. Again, knowing where you are and looking where you want to be, that's a really, really big step and the first step to fixing it.
Yeah, and then I'd look at when you are making those changes and moving forwards, like recognize it and celebrate those wins as well. Because again, like I think, we look at like people following a diet plan and being successful a period of time, but they don't necessarily change, like I say, like who they are. But if you do that incrementally and celebrate those wins, I'm happy that I've made these changes, I'm feeling good, I'm moving forwards, then that gives you mindset shifts as well. Because again, like self-reflection, so it could be like last week I would have gone out the weekend and drunk 10 beers. This week I went out and I had 2 beers. That's a big win, isn't it? Right? And that goes in your mindset, then goes in your subconscious as well, goes, I can do this, I can be more in control. And that's going to definitely help you going forwards.
Yeah, and celebrating wins can be difficult actually, because a lot of people they might compare themselves to somebody else and go, well, that person's doing this. I mean, that drinking example is, well, somebody else over here doesn't drink at all. Why can't I do that? But so it's a matter of thinking, right, this is you, and this is your. I'm going to say the word journey, even though I'm from Yorkshire and it sounds a bit wanky. Kind of, it's you. There's only one of you, and there's only you.
Yeah.
And it's going right. I'm going to celebrate. Do you know what? I've moved forward this week. I've moved the dial a little bit forward. And yeah, that's something that we do, and I know you do in your program. You actually get them to put them in the group, kind of celebrate them, and we used to do it in the group that we were in. And
and also just on that, like, recognize that it's not plain sailing. You're never going to lose weight every week. You're going to smash it every week. And when you do have obstacles, that's all they are. And learn from that obstacle and look at them and go, well, what's the solution here? I think we see so many people maybe complaining about different things like the gym's closed, this and that. And what that does is, you become like a victim. It's like, well, what can you control? Yeah. And if you can control as many things as you can, that's definitely going to help you move forward. And we got a question. So if you were to choose 3 mindset attributes that count, what would you focus on?
3 mindset attributes. Right. It's an interesting phrasing. Mindset. So like, well, what kind of the characters of your mindset that would give you success, I guess?
Well, I think if we break it down, I think we've talked massively about self-image. So I would ask my question to get me thinking about that. Who do I want to be? So get a piece of paper. Who do I want to be? Yeah. That'd be the first thing. And then I'd say why.
Yeah, why? Why do I want this?
Why do I want to be that person?
And ask it lots and like really dig into it. why do I want to lose weight? Well, I've bought a new pair of jeans and it makes me feel shit. Okay, why do I feel bad about this? Why? Again, kind of really going into it and getting down to that really kind of deep kind of foundation of why you want to fix the change.
All right. Yeah. So they're just saying a lot of people want the gold medal without doing the laps. Yep. You got to put the reps in. Self-image. So who do I want to be? Why?
I think also reframing. So struggles and failed attempts. Reframe that to actually you need them and you should celebrate them and go, right, great. I've had a struggle this week.
Yeah.
And something's come up in my life which has stopped me losing that weight, or something's got in the way, and I'm going, right. So think of that struggle as a gift, because that struggle will come up again. So reframing that failure and going, right, do you know what? I need all these, because these are going to be the things that are going to teach me and going to keep me in that 5%.
Yeah. A calm sea never made a skilled sailor.
Oh, beautiful, Michael.
It's a good one.
I love a sailing analogy.
But it's true, isn't it? A calm sea never made a skilled sailor. So it's easy when it's going easy and you've got nothing on and no barbecues and things like that. Of course, that's easy. But what about when you do have barbecues? What about when it is sunny? You know, what about when there is stuff going on? You need to learn. And then, so they just said self-image, thinking about your why. Why do I want the outcome? Dig into it. And then, do you know what? Go out and take some action, because then you can learn from those failures, can't you? And then,
imperfect action.
Take imperfect action. Like, one of the biggest things I reckon people can do is, instead of doing all the research, the latest fad diet, all these things, is just go and move your body, take action, because you're gonna get more energy from moving your body. You're not going to get more energy by researching the next diet. So move your body, get more energy. And when your energy's up, you're going to want to eat healthier. You're going to want to move your body more, because you're going to get more and more energy.
Yeah. The imperfect action thing is really, I think that's a really good one. We do that all the time in our lives. So we're going on holiday to Barcelona. We need to book an Airbnb. I spent fucking weeks going through Airbnb trying to find the perfect one. And probably the prices are going up and up. As I'm waiting to the last minute, the prices are probably going up. Whereas it's still
that's a metaphor for life, though, isn't it? I think. Yeah. So how many times have you been in a bar and you're having a really great time, and you look at the next bar and go, "Oh, I think that's better." You're not being present. So again, if you've been spending weeks and weeks and weeks of research and different diets, all these things, just stop and go out and do something for you that works for you, individual. So I think if we're looking at, again, like a mindset thing, focus in on you. Stop looking at what Dave in the office is doing, who's lost 2 stone but gained it again in the first, for the last 10 years. They're just saying reframe the obstacles, challenges, setback, etc. A calm sea never made a smooth sailor. Not sure who this is, but it's great to get a little bit of feedback, and it helps us know what maybe that people are struggling with, and it gives us obviously things to talk about. And I'd imagine it gives you a little, whoever's typing, gives you a little bit of clarity as well. So thanks for hopping on and asking the questions, because that's another thing, right? Ask people that are experts in the field.
How do I do this? Yeah. And we try and do things all ourselves, don't we? Sometimes. But there's so many people out there who are willing to give, like, I don't know, if anybody dropped me a DM saying, "Tom, how do I do this?" I'd be like, "Do you know what? Yes, I will help, because that's why we're in this game."
There's no one that's got successful along the way that hasn't had help. Literally no one. Literally everyone, like any big leader of a company, any politician, any president, any king, anything, everyone's had help along the way. But I think when it comes to fitness, for some reason, our own health, wow, I feel like a failure if I ask someone.
I do it all myself. I should be able to do it all myself.
Where's that going to get you? So guys, I think we've given a huge amount of value there. The big thing for me, I think, if you're going to take one thing away, is that to not be in the 95%, you have to work on your self-image, work on changing you as a person. The
Yeah.
diet's great to follow at some point, you know, exercise is great. But the one common denominator out of all of those things is you, the person looking at you in the mirror.
Yeah.
So you have to work on yourself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's all in here, and shifting that can be, it's going to take a bit of time. Like you said, it might take a few years, and I know that because it's like I see myself now as somebody totally different as I was. If I think about that guy before who wasn't very healthy, it just seemed like a different person, and it would feel like now it'd feel really odd to do some things he did. It would feel very, very strange.
Just one last thing on that. I think to get to the place where you have now and your self-image has changed, I think you also have to think about the way you do it as well. So eating healthy food, exercising, getting good sleep, reducing stress, because I think you then do it in the right way. And like the guy said here about, you know, some people want to get the medal, but without doing the laps. Like, yeah, some people want the weight loss without doing the work. And if you're going to do that with, I don't know, fads and shakes and things like that, you're not going to change you as a person, are you? So you're almost destined to fail.
Yeah,
you ain't done the reps.
Yeah.
All right, guys. As always, we do appreciate the comments, which was awesome today. Any likes, any shares, any feedback. We'll be on either next week or the week after to do episode 24.
24. Brilliant.
All right. Cheers, dude.
Thanks, Michael.
Speak soon, guys.